What's going on, everybody? Coach Mike here with this week's Technique Tuesday. We are finishing the snatch. So this episode is going to be, if we look at importance of the snatch movement, okay? The first pull or the first phase of the snatch is the most important part until this part. Of course, I'm talking about the pull under the bar, the transition phase, where we pull ourselves underneath the bar into that overhead squat position, and then ultimately we stand the weight up. This is the in addition to phase one, this is the most commonly messed up. I don't know what other word to say. This is the hardest part of the snatch to master. Now, the reason it's hard is a lot of times you'll hear cues, right? You'll hear cues of drop under the bar or just get under. Like it is a lot of cueing with the intent of a passive movement to get underneath the barbell. The transition of from the second phase into the bottom position, the receiving position, is anything but passive. It is probably the most active part of the snatch. Now, what do I mean by passive and active? When you say drop under the bar, you are saying that you want to release muscle tension and just rapidly get under the bar as fast as you can, and then potentially restabilize at the bottom. When I say actively, we are shifting the mindset from just rush under the bar and get under as fast as you can to this bar is a fixed object and I need to actively pull myself under the barbell. And I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second. But as I mentioned in the last video with phase two, one of the common issues of phase two is people rushing that triple extension. The reason they rush that extension is because they're trying to get under the bar as fast as they can. We need to understand that with the snatch, if we maintain position, balance, and generate acceleration in the first phase like we're supposed to, and then we pull through our second phase of the snatch correctly into that extension, we should have enough momentum, enough velocity behind that barbell that as soon as we hit those hips and we get up on those toes, we are able to pull those elbows high and pull ourselves underneath that barbell, ideally as it is still going up or becoming weightless and starting to come back down on us, right? We want to find that sweet spot. We don't want to be trying to get under the bar while the bar is coming down. That is never a good spot to be in. You're 9 times out of 10, you're just not going to be able to do that. The other couple times you're going to miss in catastrophic ways. But we always want to be getting underneath the bar by pulling ourselves under the barbell while it's either still going up from the momentum we put in from the legs and hips, or it's hitting that terminal point, and now we're able to pull on that fixed object and get underneath that barbell. Now, as I said, a lot of lifters want to rush this phase, and that's what causes them to shorten their pull, shorten that extension in the second phase of the snatch. As I mentioned in that video, and if you haven't watched it, make sure you go back and watch that video. Within that second phase of the snatch, we need to stay as flat on our feet as possible, continue pushing, let those knees track forward, bring those hips through, and then we're getting into extension at the last minute. We're finishing with those toes. The knees are fully extended, hips are fully extended. I'm still pulling that bar back into me, and now through all of that momentum, that bar is going to start popping up on its own, right? So, with the snatch and the clean, I have mentioned throughout all of the clean and snatch videos, I do not like to say the word pull. I do not like calling it the first pull, second pull, third pull, whatever. I use the word phase because when you say pull, people tend to pull, right? Either they're pulling with their hamstrings and glutes, or they're pulling with their arms, right? I save the word pull for when I actually want you to pull. In the turnover, I want you to pull. What I mean by that is once I hit that terminal point, I'm going to start thinking about I need to get under this bar. It is a violent elbows drive up and back. I am pulling my elbows up and back to pull myself underneath the barbell as it's stationary, right? I am pulling myself underneath that barbell. Now we are pulling. If our back has been tight this whole time, that bar has been pulled back into us as we're driving the legs, this point, should be no problem. We're in that extension. Now I'm getting under the bar. I'm going to pull those elbows high, 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 and now I easily turn that bar over. I am aggressively. I had a coach, my first USAW level 1 coach, Reggie Hodge. He always said, fast and mean. Fast and mean with the barbell. Donnie Schenkel talking about from the knees through, you're pulling that bar like you're ripping the head off a goddamn lion. These are not passive movements. These are aggressive, active, intentional movements. All right? If you are intentional and aggressive with the snatch turnover, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit the snatch, or you're going to throw it behind, which means behind is typically a good lift. If you miss in front, it's either too heavy, or you're not committing, or you're getting out of position. If you miss behind, you got plenty of it, and you threw that thing back. That means let's dial it in and get it over the head now. We got it over the head, right? Fast and mean, put the bar where you want it to go, right? That's my next coaching point here. I've talked with all the coaches I've worked with, the athletes I've worked with. You are not at the mercy of the barbell. The barbell is going to go where you tell it to go. The amount of, that's why like these drills where you smack your hips into the bar and you let it go out, I hate those drills, because you are teaching yourself to whack the bar and let it come out here, which is not what we want to do. We don't want any horizontal displacement of the barbell. We are telling the barbell to go out in front. We need to control the barbell. So what that means is we're pulling that bar back. I'm bringing it into my hips and I'm scooping it up. So I'm pushing those knees forward, popping those hips through into full extension. And through that movement, I'm lifting the bar vertically. Once that bar gets vertical in that second phase, I am pulling this bar, and through my hand, I'm putting the bar where I want. I am not letting the bar dictate where it's going. I am telling the barbell where it's going to go. And if it wants to get away from me, I'm squeezing my lats down, pulling my shoulder down, I'm keeping that whole system engaged to stabilize that barbell, stabilize my body, and put it where I want it to go. The snatch is a deliberate movement. The jerk is a deliberate movement, which I'll get into the jerk next. We did the clean, we did the snatch, focusing on if you're not a weightlifting coach and you're trying to use this with your athletes, I want to get the big movements out of the way. Then we'll go into jerk variations. But again, with the transition phase here, you have to put the bar where you want it with intention. All right, so let's get a bar in our hands and let's start moving. Now, the last video, again, we finished with the second phase of the snatch. So that is finishing in that archangel, bar is back into my hips, I'm in that full extension, okay? Now, the only place to go from there is down, right? Bar's going up, you're going down. So, I got that nice hook grip established, right? I got that nice bar position. We're locked in. I'm in that archangel, okay? And this is a good drill you can do too. It's just pop and then basically muscle snatch under, right? But what I'm looking for, right? We stayed in position. We're finally into that extension point, right? I'm going to be pulling my shoulders up because my back is tight. My shoulders are still down and back, but because I'm putting so much in, my shoulders are elevated. From here, I'm going to make sure that now I know I'm here. I need to pull that bar all the way as high as I can. I'm pulling, right? Upright rowing that shit. I'm here. Boom. I'm pulling, and I'm snapping underneath that barbell, meaning at that bottom position. So, front view. Right? I'm pulling back into that bar. I'm making sure I'm in position. I'm moving around the barbell. The barbell is not moving around me. So I'm pulling back, archangel. I already put everything into that barbell. Now it's going to start becoming weightless. I'm going to pull those elbows high and back. I'm going to get under the bar. And I'm going to put the bar over my head, right? So I'm here, pop, right? Nice and easy. I'm here, on my toes, pop, nice and easy. I am putting the bar where I want it to go. Once I'm stabilized, whole foot, I stand that bar up in the squat, slam that shit down. Now, common cues and corrections. Again, not finishing that extension, so I'm staying flat foot or I'm rushing underneath, we're going to probably miss that bar in front because we're still over the bar. So if I'm here and I start rushing, that bar hasn't had a chance to get back. I'm now getting under and that bar's going forward. Versus finishing that extension, I'm back, hopping under. For athletes that struggle to hit the bottom position, a lot of new athletes to the sport cannot just pull under a bottom position. A good way to train the bottom position is to have the athlete catch a power. Okay, so again, we're talking crease of the hip above 90 degrees of the knees. A good way to train them is to catch where the bar lands. So let's say I'm a new athlete. I catch here. The way you train this is you have them stabilize, finish the squat, and stand back up. Right? So each rep, it's a snatch plus squat, snatch plus overhead squat. Then you're going to start teaching that body. Then you start working from different positions. All right, power position to a power snatch, true power snatch, 90-degree power snatch. Then power position to full bottom, hang position to full bottom, floor to full bottom, right? Then you start training it that way. Other cues and corrections or other faults that we see. Now, I am not going to go on about the efficacy or the politics of the press out rule. Everybody thinks the press out rule is bullshit. We know that, all right? There's not one person I've met that agrees with the press out rule, and people that try to argue both sides of it, the argument for it is absolutely, it's a fallacy. However, an elbow press out, right? You get the bar up overhead and your elbow bends and you press it back out. All that is a lack of active stabilization. When you catch that snatch, you should be pressing the bar, not your shoulders, but you're trying to rip that bar apart, right? You have a stick and you're trying to pull that stick apart overhead. That way, when I had those elbows high and back, I'm going to turn over and pull that bar apart. By doing that, I'm not allowing my elbows to bend again. If you're trying to pull, the elbows can't bend. But that's just an active stabilization at the top. It happens. It happens a lot. The press out is not an ideal way to snatch or jerk. I'm not going too deep into this, but if an athlete is doing it, there's a stabilization issue that needs to be addressed if it's frequent. If it is a maximal effort attempt and they press out, it's just a maximal effort attempt. Celebrate that it got over their head and they made the lift. If it's a press out, they still made the lift. It's still a made lift. Like, miss me with that. It's a bad lift crap. Another fault that we see in the receiving position, right? On your toes or too far on your heels, or just balance issues, right? All balance issues typically is out of position somewhere in the beginning, whether it's the first phase, the second phase. Typically, once you hit that transition, the bar is going where the bar is going. So now you need to be an athlete and adapt to where the bar is going to go. If you did everything right, you should be able to just snap that bar straight over your shoulders, good to go, nice and balanced. Sometimes it's a little forward, you got to pull it forward. Sometimes it's going to be back, and you got to pull it forward. It's just being an athlete, knowing what your body's going to do, feeling your body out. Other than that, that's the snatch. We're all done with the snatch. Just like that, 3 videos, done with the snatch. Starting position, again, establishing our starting position in our first phase of the snatch. We are maintaining balance, maintaining position of the bar. So our body position over the barbell, maintaining balance in the foot, so making sure nice even pressure, slightly back to the heel. And then we're making sure we're trying to increase velocity and momentum through that first phase into the second phase. Second phase, we're staying in position, but we're starting to get our chest back and out of the way. That way we can clear the bar through our chest, finish that extension, and then into the transition where we turn that bar over, pull that bar apart overhead, and stand the lift up. That's the whole snatch. Nice and easy. Extremely difficult to master. Pretty easy to learn. Start with power variations. Start with hip. Start with hangs. You don't have to go from the floor to full squat or full snatch overnight. Just break it up as you need to. And again, train the athlete, not the movement. So meet the athlete where they're at and then work from there. The movement, there's no such thing as movement perfection. If you watch the Olympics, you watch world events, you watch any high-level snatcher, everybody snatches differently, right? There is no one correct technique for anything. And I hope I'm emphasizing that throughout these videos. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video. Leave a comment below how you work through the transition to the snatch, or how these videos can be more helpful for you as a coach or as an athlete. Give me feedback on these videos. Whether you want to see certain topics, you want me to explain things differently or more in depth on certain stuff. Just feel free to leave feedback in the comments. Make sure you share this video with anybody that might need this video, whether it's coach, athlete, etc. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and share this channel with your friends. I'm Coach Mike. This is Technique Tuesdays. I'll see you guys next time.